I remember when I was in hospital during treatment, my biggest challenge was to go from the bed to the bathroom back to the bed. And then after I was discharged from hospital and moved to the mountains, I looked up at Ha Ling and I thought to myself, I wonder if I could run from here beside the river all the way to the top of that thing and back down again. I have and always have had, a very intimate relationship with the mountains. There is something very powerful about the mountains for me, which I lost when I was in hospital. And I think if there's one thing that cancer takes away from you, is that it removes your sense of wonder. It suspends your future, and in many ways robs you of your dreams. And so for me, this was a way to reconnect with my dream and my way to climb back from cancer. And this is a story about living and dreaming. The run started on the footbridge just below our home. And in many ways the bridge was, I think, representative of something. It was a bridge from my past to, hopefully, my future. Ran through the condominium complex, crossed the road into the forest. I passed by a lake, connected with an electrical power line, which undulated over the terrain. And then a short distance up the power line, took a hard left up a steep mountain biking trail. It's actually a trail on which mountain bikers ride down. They don't ride up because it's too steep. So that was the hardest part physically of the run. Got through that and then popped out on the dam. And the wind was whipping along the dam. And I kept jogging along the road, seeing this, massive mountain landscape passing before me. But all the while conscious of what was happening inside and pacing myself, just chugging. And that's what we're all doing as we climb back. We're chugging. We're taking these little steps. Chug. Got to the base of the backside of the mountain where the new trail begins to go up. Turned my way up through the switchbacks. There are about 4 or 5 of those major switchbacks and ramps that you go up. And then about an hour and a quarter into the run, I pop out of tree line. And I see the peak. And I said to myself, my gosh, I might just pull this off. After 5 years of climbing back, I might just pull this off. But then I pulled my concentration in. And I said, okay, just focus once again. One step after another. I'll just keep taking those steps. One after another. Turned with about 300 vertical feet towards from the top, and the legs started to feel like mush, and the wind was blowing, and it was cold. But I forced myself, I willed myself to move. And I had this little mantra that I used during training. Will. I can climb back. I will climb back. I can climb back. I will climb back. And I ran that mantra over and over into my head until I arrived on top.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. It's a great day to be alive. We can climb back. We can. We can. We can. We can.
I wasn't there for very long because it was so cold. Only 5 minutes, but I did say, in my own way, a prayer and a thank you. And it was a celebration for me of being 5 years cancer-free and having accomplished this dream and achieved it. The total vertical gain of the run is just under 4,000 vertical feet, which is about 3/4 of a vertical mile. And I was able to go up in an hour and a half and come down in an hour. So it was 2.5 hours of running. And all the way I was running down, I never let myself think that this was actually done. Yes, I had achieved the peak, but I still had to come down. Just like you always have to come down in mountains too. You've got to make the round trip for it to count. You got to go from the bed to the bathroom, back to the bed. So that's what I did. I went from the bed to the bathroom, back to the bed, and eventually from door to the summit and door to dreams and back down to the door. And as I came in back into the condominium complex, my wife Cecilia had put up this banner across our front door that said, "Congratulations, Alan, Ha Ling Peak." And she had balloons up there beside the banner. And I just burst into tears. As just one of the most magical moments of my life. And I ran down to the bridge, and I ran up, and we had a big hug, and I was, of course, I was just staggering. And she was crying, and I was crying. And we just knew. We knew that we had climbed back, and we had done it together. And it wasn't really my run, it was our run. Because there's always, if you're lucky, you got a caregiver. There's a survivor and there's a caregiver. And I define a survivor as anyone who has cancer and is breathing. That's a survivor. The Climb Back from Cancer Foundation was formed by my wife Cecilia and I. We saw a huge gap between treatment and return to life. All the resources are poured into treatment, in saving lives, and we need to return those lives. And so the mission of the Climb Back from Cancer Foundation is to help patients, survivors, and caregivers climb back to better lives. In every way, I think every person is climbing back as a survivor in their own particular manner. Whether their goal is to get well enough to play with their children, or see their daughter graduate from high school or university, or play with their grandchildren, or paint a painting, or play golf. However we so define it. This was my dream. This was my attempt to say, there. We don't all die. And I think it's important that across all cancers today, all cancers, 2 out of every 3 people who are diagnosed with the disease actually survive it. So the number of cancer survivors, like me, is exploding. And the biggest single challenge a cancer survivor faces is actually fatigue. It's more debilitating than pain. It's more challenging than nausea, even loss of income, even loss of self-esteem or self-identity. It's the number one challenge they face. And I certainly faced it significantly, but through mild physical activity, aerobic activity, like running or hiking or biking or swimming, I was able to rebuild myself to the point where I could now celebrate 5 years of being cancer-free. And this was my way of celebrating. It took me 5 years to get to the point where I could actually do something like this. So when I finally stood there on top, it was a tremendous sense of elation. Physically, I was spent, but emotionally, I was rapturous almost. It was captivating, and it was powerful. And it said to me, boy, if I could do this, imagine what others could do also. And that's really the essence of the story. This isn't about me. It's not about me at all. It's about we. It's about we, the collective 20 million people in North America who are cancer survivors and are striving to reach their own peak and climb back in their own way.
We can!